When it comes to park benches, they're all really kind of nostalgic and beautiful. They have this New York Central Park kind of feel, or that Main Street on Disneyland. And they're all kind of spectacular, especially when you think of how old a lot of them are. This bench here is probably 7 years old. Come to find out, it had some pretty spectacular hardware in it. We're going to take that old bench and we're going to turn it into this. I made the mistake of thinking I was going to get that thing on top of my workbench. It's 1 million pounds. Oh gosh, that is heavy. It's all dry rotted now. This had snapped off, so I want to recreate whatever curve that might be on top of that. If you like this kind of content, hammer that like button. This is a strip disc. You can buy these in packs if you want to on Amazon. I'll link it down below. What it's going to do is help me get all this thick paint off. See where it's starting to flake away right here. All of the gear. With the Porter cable oscillating tool, I was able to replace the one that it came with my old one that was a Harbor Freight special. It's good to know that you can swap out the old school Harbor Freights for the new ones that come with it. Universal fitting. It does tilt just a little bit to the side. Not gonna bother me. I think so did this one, actually, the one that came with it. But it's a Velcro thing. You can see it's a little bit bigger than the old school one. But I have some pads for the old school. Good ergonomic fit. The sander does leave a little bit of vibration in the hand after going for that long. Now I finished up the preparation process with some steel wool and some soapy water. And then I went right on in to the Rust-Oleum 2-in-1 semi-gloss. Got most of the paint on. I've got to flip over the back side of it and put the green on the back. Really like that Hunter green. Wanted to go with something a little bit different than all black with wood. And I've always been a fan of Hunter green. It's my favorite color. So I figured I'd slap that on there. That thing is heavy. The metal is heavy, but good to have that almost done. These bolts, these carriage bolts, are copper. I couldn't even tell. They were so gunked up with dirt and rust. Soaked those in vinegar. They came out pretty nice. This is one that I polished and a little bit of lemon juice and salt. And I'm going to show you that right now. Look at this pile of awesomeness. So this is just equal parts lemon juice, fresh squeezed lemon juice, and salt. This is a polished one. That looks pretty good. I'll be all right having these stick outside of the top of that stained wood that I'm going to have on there. Now, unfortunately, these screws that were holding in the wood to the frame of the chair, they're still pretty rusty. I don't think they're gonna make it. They're not copper like the other carriage bolts that go in through the wood to hold it down. I'm gonna go with stainless steel of the same size, pretty much. This should hold it in just the same. The stainless steel, they'll last quite a long time on that chair. Only gonna be in the back on the middle frame, holding that on the wood. I've got this long strip of hickory pecan. Now these were cut originally at 2 3/4 inches. And I think that's going to keep us just fine. I can get 6 of those out of this piece of hickory pecan. I did not find another piece of hickory pecan the same width to be able to cut the top angle out of this piece, which goes on the top of the back of the bench. So I got a piece of poplar. I understand it's not hard as hickory, a pecan, but the coloring is somewhat consistent with this hickory. It's a lighter wood, that it will suffice when it gets a dark stain. This is going to be the first time I'm going to try to use this Porter cable saw. I did replace the blade. It does not have a battery in it yet, so I'm going to goof off with this a little bit. It is a 36 tooth blade. It is by Ashland wood cutting. I'm going to try to believe in this thing and hope that it can get through this hickory that's at 3/4 inch. Let's give it a shout. Look at the cut on that. You guys, this is hickory, and this Porter cable just ran through it like it was butter. And you see no burn marks or nothing. If you're a DIYer, this Porter cable kit is looking pretty dang sexy right about now. I want to do that again. I'll put the link in the description down below. Coming from the hardwood shop, this wood has one side close to 90 degrees and worthy of running on a table saw. I'd say that looks pretty good. So that should do it for the table saw, because I've got all the width done that I need to now. By the way, what do you guys do with your hardwood scraps that come off the end of your long cuts? Always wondered. I know that I've used some of this for edging. I don't have anything that edge. I'm not using plywood or anything like that. Sometimes I'll use it for shims and other things, but I don't know, curious what you guys do. I know it's a tabletop planer, but I find it to be much easier on the ground because the cleanup is so much easier. If I just sweep around the area, I can collect the wood chips from the plane and use it as fire starters at the fire pit. Last I checked, Amazon doesn't sell this kind of stuff for starting fires in your backyard. Now this one piece is going to be my flush up template. Feel on the left side, make sure it's flush up. I'm not going to set a jig for 6 pieces. This whole thing's gonna go on the bandsaw, which I'm gonna open up right now. I will probably not post any kind of separate review video of this. I do think that it looks reasonable. If you're looking for something professional, something to use on a daily basis, this is not your machine, I don't think. I think that this is gonna be just fine for what I need. Did I mention I was pretty impressed? Smack your greasy little fingers on that sub button. I'm going to start off with a pre-stained wood conditioner. Get it all smooth so it soaks up, no splotchiness. Then I'm going to do a 2-part stain, followed up by a top coat of kind of my own design, something based off something I found on somebody else's YouTube channel, but I changed it up a little bit. First I'm going to start with a mahogany gel stain. Within 15 minutes of that drying up, I'm going to put some of this ebony stain over the top because I like the way it mixes together the 2 colors. Now the wood conditioner is going to do 3 things in my eyes. 1, it's going to get rid of all the dust from just having sanded everything and making it a mess. 2, it's going to show you any discrepancies, anything you missed with sanding. If you've got something, a line, a crease, a scratch that you definitely missed, it's going to let you know about it. The third thing is it's actually going to treat the wood rise up the fibers just a little bit, open it up just enough to get that stain to cut across all of that wood and the grain evenly, to get rid of all the splotching and make sure that it soaks into the wood just enough. Now, I really like this pecan here. It is very much a hardwood and it's very durable. I'm not afraid to hit it with the sand or so, you know, a little bit here or there to see if it's going to scuff or dent it in or take off a big chunk. Whereas that poplar, when I was going over the corners, I had to be really tight with it.
Oh yeah.
So after a couple of coats of this ebony over the top of the mahogany gel stain, I am pretty happy with the color of it. Now I'm going to have to get that on the back side as well. Clearly I need to find a better way to prop this up. I lost a little paint on there. Thankfully, I mean, this thing is such a beast. It's cast, but I did chip a little paint off of the tab here. I'm gonna have to touch it up. Tricky. It is really unfortunate. Oof! Cracking that copper carriage bolt was my least favorite part of this whole job. I did notice when I tried to put the thing together using the seat runners that it did make the thing bow from bottom in. So I loosened those up and attached the back first, and then that straightened it up so that when I tightened up the planks that go along the seat, it was pretty square. It's pretty sturdy. What I need to do now is cover up the wood with a top coat, a weatherproofing top coat that's going to be really nice outside to keep this safe. I've gotten this 1 gallon here, a mixture of a little bit of odorless mineral spirits, about 1 quart of this to about half of this linseed oil. Mix that together, and then I heated up this feed-in wax, which has beeswax and orange oil in it. The beeswax is really what does a great job of repelling the water on the outside. Now I did see somebody else mix something together like this. For the life of me, I can't remember the name of them, but they melted the wax. I just figured, well, I'll try this feed-in wax here and give it a go. And you can be the judge of how this goes on, but I've used this on some exterior projects. It does really well. I'm just gonna use a chip brush and let this dive right into the wood. Starting back here. Is that because of the mineral spirits that are in it, it'll settle really nicely once those mineral spirits calm this oil down a bit. I'm digging this chip brush inside of that tab there in order to protect the wood underneath the cast iron tab where any water might sit and grab it. Again, I'm getting it around the copper and digging in there. Looking pretty good. Make sure some runs along the ends. This thin steel strap, it's got 1 screw for each of the lateral planks there so that it can bear weight. If one bears weight, all of them bear weight. It'll disperse the energy. I wanted to get the top coat weather seal on first, and then I'll attach this underneath with stainless steel screws. This bench has got some really good shine and protection on it now. Pretty excited about that. I didn't get a lot of it on this metal here because that oil actually has to sink into the wood. It won't sink into the metal and the Rust-Oleum on it, obviously. So if I wanted to cover that more, I would give it a spray coat of something or other, but I think that Rust-Oleum 2-in-1 does a pretty good job and ultimately is ready for action. The wood here I'm gonna let sit overnight. If it's still really oily, I'll give it a quick buffing. This was a really fun restoration project of this park bench. It's ancient, it's now looking brand new. I love that I put the green on the back instead of just all black. It gives it a lot of extra character. Really doesn't look like it belongs on Main Street. A couple of things that I did that you might want to tech into if you're gonna do these things as well. In this particular project, always make sure that you got the right side of the wood facing up when you're doing something. When I was building this back piece, I was building it from behind it upside down, and this piece right here got put on the wrong side, and I didn't even notice till afterwards. It does add a little bit of character. What are you gonna do? Secondly, when I had to redo this top bit, I didn't really have a way to create the actual easy arc, so it is a little bit bumpy. That is character, and we love that in a bench or any other project. If it doesn't come out perfect, whatever. Third, try to make sure you get enough wood for the project to cover the whole thing. Now, when I bought this plank of hickory, I didn't buy it for this project. I bought it for a different thing, but it ended up sitting around. I didn't get it done, so I was like, you know what, maybe that'll be enough to fit on this one project. And it was really, really close. And ultimately, I love the way this turned out on here. It is solid. It's gonna last forever, you guys. If you have the chance to work with hickory pecan and you in the circumstance provides for it, I would use that wood again. This ultimately is a tiny bit different in color. Not a ton. I don't know that anybody who doesn't know will even point it out or notice it. Not a big deal. When you do put these things together, you want to put the back on first. That's what I noticed, because otherwise the tabs on the side arms have a little bow to them, so that you can't put the back on evenly, and it causes the legs to dip inwards. But by putting this back on first, you align the pieces left and right, and the center slats go on nice and easy. Also, if you're working with copper hardware, be careful not to crank it down too much. I did break one. I found one online. I'm going to order up. I'm going to replace it at a later time. I really enjoyed this park bench restoration. I hope you have as well. And we'll see you on the next Ryan Andrews video here on Cool Hand Ryan.